And now, you're tuned in to RBLR, the home of Tampa Bay's RBLR Sports.
Welcome into RBLR Sports, and as we are recording this on December 24th, we here wish you a wonderful time with those that you care about, no matter what you celebrate. We hope that you're having a relaxing time, and this is a time to relax and celebrate, and we here at RBLR Sports are celebrating our wonderful Tampa Bay Sports. My name is Eureka, and let me please introduce the next voice on this pod, my man Musab. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing well. Another day in Tampa Bay. It's getting a little more chillier. We're getting some rainy days in here, but just hanging in there, enjoying some time with family, and happy the holiday seasons are here.
Yeah, exactly. It's like with everything that we've gone through with this year, I think that it's a sight for sore eyes to have kind of the sort of normalcy about I'm okay that I'm annoyed by the Christmas music, but even that isn't as annoying this year because of there's been a lot of worse things going on. So I'm taking solace in some of the having a little bit more fun with some of the holiday traditions that we have here. One thing that's been really nice is that they've been spacing out some of the sports stuff. So, for instance, tomorrow on Christmas, we've got a full slate of really good NBA games. There's an NFL game, and then there's a whole weekend of NFL. So you've got our Buccaneers playing on Saturday against the Lions. Then you've got a full slate of games on Sunday. So I think it's a good time if you have the opportunity to sit back for a couple days, watch some sports, hang out with family, be on the Zoom call, whatever you got to do to kind of reach out to friends, family, and whatnot. But this week, Musab, you and I think we are going to get into first and foremost that Buccaneers comeback from a 3-score deficit against the Atlanta Falcons last week. And then we'll transition into Tampa Bay continuing their road trip as they go out to Detroit to play the Lions in a couple days here. And then there's a little bit of news about the Lightning losing one of their superstars this year. That's kind of what I had on the docket. Musab, let's get into this Buccaneers game that we just had against the Atlanta Falcons. I think that last week on the pod, I talked about that we didn't have that kind of domineering performance that we were looking for against the Vikings. And I was looking forward to these next 3 games of the Buccaneers kind of fine-tuning some of the things that we've had big question marks about them. This, again, was a tale of 2 halves. You had the first half that was completely atrocious, and then you had the second half turnaround that we've seen so much. So, Musab, what were some of your thoughts about the Falcons game that we just saw?
Well, my first thought was, at least what the beginning of the game was, the slow start that we continue to have. All right, Tampa Bay behind 17-0 at halftime, struggling yet again with a slow start on both sides of the ball, actually. But fortunately, we outscored the Falcons 31-10 in the second half, which was really nice. Tom Brady throwing for the season high, 390 yards, 2 touchdowns, and no interceptions. But to me, it just seemed like the first quarter was maybe I would even say first half was so different from the rest of the game. First Ronald Jones' injury kind of hurt his chances to play the week before, and then he was on the reserve list. But the fact that having someone like him who's definitely in the top 5 or top 10 running backs right now in the league. It makes a really big difference. That's the first thing, but that's not the excuse that the Bucs should have. They were just really struggling overall. I don't really know what keeps happening, but I think to me what it seems like is there's just things that we still need to work on, and I just don't know, how much more do we really need to analyze what we're doing wrong or what we're doing right. Um, I guess it's also maybe just the pressure that we're having, um, or the pressure that Tom Brady is getting just from uh, the Falcons' defense throughout that game, especially in the beginning. But at least what I kind of do want to really add is, you know, it just seems like to me that slow start is like this recurring nightmare, and I want to say maybe for one half of the fans, they're really hopeful. They're like, hey, we're gonna start off strong, and second of all, it's the Falcons, so it's not like we're going against the Chiefs or Rams or something like that. But then on the other side, it's I got a feeling there's a lot of fans out there who just accepted the slow starts. They really have. Um, even with the slow start, I wasn't extremely worried. But when it hits 17-0, then I'm like, okay, this is a little worrisome because we're not some super crazy comeback team. But then again, the Falcons are known to kind of mess up some leads in the past, so I was hoping they would do that again. Um, Much like he did in the Super Bowl not too long ago. What I'm just talking about right now is, Tom Brady. Yeah, Tom Brady proved that no Falcons lead is
Oh,
safe
wow.
when he's on the opposite sideline. Yep. Yeah, to any Falcons fans hearing this, yeah, you heard me. Brady led the Bucs on 5 straight scoring drives to start the second half after being held scoreless in the first half. Kind of, I guess, to me, reminding the Falcon fans that even at 43 years old, he's capable of making an epic comeback. So I'm really impressed with that. Um, but also, I think what I also wanted to add is, after going the entire first half without a sack, Tampa Bay defense got 3 in the second half, all from Devin White, who was actually the NFC's Defensive Player of the Week. So shout out to Devin White, and all of them also coming in key moments. I do want to add that as well. And then I'm really happy that when it came to the Ronald Jones Fournette kind of discussion, that with Ronald Jones being out, that Fournette kind of picked up the work and scored 2 touchdowns in Jones' absence, and also Mike Evans and Antonio Brown combining for over 200 yards. So to me, I think it was a complete 180 in the second half, and I'm really happy. But the only thing that just really worries me, game after game with these Bucs is these slow starts are really, really gonna be biting us, in the back. If we keep letting this happen, I'm not really a big fan of it. And what I also wanted to add, what I kind of missed was, to me, and I'm not really trying to call out on any like specific players, but it just seemed like to me that the secondary unit was just not looking good at all. Murphy Bunting, don't want to call out specific players, but I do want to just. Unfortunately, I might have to when it comes to Sean Murphy Bunting. He just seemed like he was just having an off day. Maybe it was going with the pressure, and he's a young guy, so maybe he's still got to have that experience. But to me, it just felt like he was kind of playing a little maybe sloppy, or not not like he always plays. He wasn't really playing like that. But that's really about it. That's all I really have to say. At least kind of overall with the game. What do you think, Eureka?
The first half, with the caveat saying that the second half was a complete 180 from everything I'm about to say. But like when you're, I'm looking at my notebook and it's like I kind of wrote down that at the end of the first half I ended up writing that the defense is getting pressure, but we're not getting any sacks. The secondary is tipping passes, but we're not getting the interceptions. The secondary was giving up kind of those intermediate crossing slant routes, pretty much at will. Matt Ryan was able to hit those as soon as he wanted to, and that the defense was continuing a trend that they had against Minnesota, which is they're not shutting them down on 3rd and 4th down. So too many conversions. You had on multiple 3rd down conversions on a couple drives in the first quarter, or the first half. So it's like it's these. This is what I said last week. Is that it's these little razor thin margins that I think are going to, when you're playing a team like Minnesota, or you're playing a team like Atlanta or like Detroit, like we're going to play. Sure, you can kind of get away with more of these little, maybe they're not quite coin flip plays, but they kind of are. Like, for instance, the couple like Carlton Davis having a tip, and then White tipping the ball like almost immediately after. Or no, sorry, Whitehead had a tip that should have been interception, and then Devin White had a tip, really badly read play by Ryan. He just throws the ball right in the lane, and Devin White's like, oh, he puts a hand on it. If any one of those ended up being an interception, then now the Bucs have the ball on the other side of the field, and now we're putting hopefully at least a field goal, and now you're only down 7-3. There's a little bit more momentum, and I'll get into that about this defense a little later, but those little tiny coin flip, woulda, coulda, shoulda stuff, that's the kind of stuff that is going to bite the Bucs down the road. They got more of those to go their way in the second half, and they really did shut down. They shut down the 3rd down conversions. They shut down 4th down conversions. They stopped giving up the intermediate routes. They were getting sacks. They were doing all those things, and that's completely difference between 17-0 and scoring 5 straight drives, and your defense has got swagger, and they've got just that momentum. And I think this team plays like it's infectious, and more so than I think is normal. Like, this is a team that when they are just vibing and when they feel it, maybe that's because they're a younger defensive unit, but it just seems like if one bad thing happens, it keeps cascading. But if a couple great things happen, now these guys are taking selfie pictures in the end zone, and they're in their bag, man. Same kind of thing on offense is that you look at the first half, they had 7 rushing yards total. They had 53 passing yards. It was the lowest yardage total that the Bucs have had in 6 years. And you kind of had Keyshawn Vaughn just kind of nervous. He's dropping passes. There's not anything really getting pushed forward on the offensive line. The O-line and if there's a single back, or they're not picking up safety blitzes. Brady's getting hit. He's overthrowing passes. I mean, it looked really, really bad. But there maybe it's like Space Jam. If you've seen Space Jam, where Bugs Bunny gets the secret water from from Michael Jordan, and then all of a sudden they come out in that second half, and so I don't know where the magic water is. Maybe they've got some Cigar City brews or something at halftime, and they get the nerves off, and they come out and just decide to flip the switch. We keep saying that every week, but they flip the switch and they just start whooping ass. And like you said, it's inconsistency that's really bad. And I guess either this is the identity of this particular team, is that they're going to come out, they're going to be flat, and then when they finally get punched in the mouth by 3 scores, the eye of the tiger happens, and now you get Hall of Fame Tom Brady again. But I guess Musab, I'll ask you this: like, should we praise the Bucs for being able to dig themselves out of a 17-point hole, which actually became a 24-7? Because even after we came back and scored on the first possession, the Falcons came right back and scored a touchdown of their own. So, should we praise them for for getting out of this jam, or should we be worried that to other teams that aren't the Falcons or the Minnesota Vikings, should we kind of despair that this is happening in the first place?
I think we should be a little bit of both, but I would say more, I guess, worried because, I mean, if I'm going against, if I'm going against the Bucs or, if I'm the Detroit Lions, and, like this week, I'm going to be watching the tape and I'm going to be, kind of analyzing, okay, and I'm going to be also, well, I'm also going to say this, I'm going to be aware of, how strong our second halves have been in the past. This game, and then that game we had against the Chargers where we came back real strong. So for that reason, it just I just don't think that any team, or I don't think I would be proud if whether it be any team that I would be happy. Yeah, hey, it's okay. You had a slow start, but you did great in the end, or you did great in the second half. Because it just makes me wonder. Where it's like, okay, well, I'm glad you acknowledge your, what you need to fix, and who knows what really goes on in that locker room. Maybe Bruce Arians has had to give him a nice little pep talk or something. But it just makes you think, well, why does it take you so long to realize these things?
Yeah.
It's fun, or if you're gonna have slow starts, that's okay. Like, that's not what I want, but okay. But at least in the second quarter, fix those things up and change it around, or I just think that some things with these slow starts, they just really they really get to the Bucs defense kind of mentally a little bit, just being kind of already kind of trailing, and then the fact that, hey, now we got to stop them, but also we got to make sure we don't really do anything stupid, like any unforced penalties, or just kind of sloppy maybe one-on-one coverage or zone coverage. So for that reason, I'm gonna say I'm gonna say I take that back. I'm gonna say we should be more worried about these slow starts, but strong comebacks. Because as nice as they are, I don't want to be known, or I don't want my team, or I just don't want the Bucs to be known as a second half team, because that's just not that's not the philosophy I would like to have if I was the coach or part of the management. I want a team that's strong. I think that's what makes great teams great. It's that they continue to be strong. It's okay. Maybe your offense might not be super hot in the beginning of the game, but as long as your defense is really stepping up to the plate and taking care of that, that's what matters. That's as long as we're stopping them. That's at the end of the day, like Ray Lewis says, offense wins games, defense wins championships. So for that reason, I'm gonna have to just say, yeah, we should be worried. I'm really happy, but I also just think that the Falcons. I don't want to take credit away from the Bucs win, but I just think that the Falcons, they just really messed up on a lot of things. Their ground game was a massive problem. Just because our defense was just continuously attacking them. And they had their nice passes, and they had a few decent runs, but then again, also their Atlanta's defense wilted really badly on Tampa Bay's first drive of the second half, as you and I were talking about, just allowing a series of quick strikes, for the Bucs to go down the field and score easily. And that just continued to go on throughout the second half, with Falcons defense falling down and failing to adjust to Tampa Bay's adjustments. And because of that, the Bucs managed to win the game, and they managed to pull within 3 points at the end of the third quarter. So I just think that I think the reason why we really came back was it was just changes on offense. and I'm not really trying to take credit away from the defense or saying that, I'm not trying to say that, they didn't really change their game plan or stuff like that. I think they changed a few things, but I just think that because the Falcons defense was just wasn't aware of what the Bucs have changed up, that kind of screwed them over. Bucs offense got real hot. And, once you start scoring touchdowns, whether you're on offense or defense or special teams or you're a fan in the stands, you're going to be really pumped, especially when you get these nice long drives. Like that touchdown to Antonio Brown, that got me really hyped because I was like, hey, I'm really glad, this guy finally got his first touchdown with the Bucs. It was a nice long pass. So these things, really, I guess, kind of, really motivate you. And I also think that, once the Bucs defense starts seeing that Tom Brady and the boys are getting real hot, going down the field, and they're having some real good drives in the start of the second half, it makes the defensive coordinator and all the defensive players aware that, hey, okay, well, we really have a shot, and we always had a shot, but we really cannot mess this up now because we're getting real hot now on the offense, so we need to do our job. We know what we need to do. So and for that reason, I think the defense really changed it up. They got real nice. They did really well. But I think the takeaway I kind of have with the second half and first half kind of 180 was that unless we're playing really, really bad, or it's we're I guess making the wrong changes, I don't see why we're not able to come back against any team. And we've proven that in the past: Chiefs, Rams, Chargers, this game. Even the Vikings game, it's Eureka. Perhaps it just might be something we're gonna have to get used to, unfortunately. But I just don't really like it, because I know it's fine if we do it in the regular season. Obviously, if it's working for us, especially going against the Lions and the Falcons one more time, I'm not worried about it now. And I'm sure after seeing, after playing, the Falcons, this past weekend, I know the Bucs are not. Yeah, they may start slow again, but I know they're not going to be making as many mistakes as they did this past week. And the Lions, it's not a huge worry. And I'm sure that Brady and the boys are fired up, and they're going to make sure that they clinch this. They clinch a playoff spot with this win. But it all comes down to, when we do make it in the playoffs, because we're not going to be some high seed, we're going to be going against a real good team, and we better be ready for, whatever is about to happen. We've played the Chiefs, we played the Rams, Saints, so we should have a good idea of, what we need to do against good teams. But then again, I guess we'll just have to find out.
Yeah, I think one of the big questions that we wanted, or at least this is one of the things I brought up in the past, is that unfortunately we're not playing playoff caliber teams going into the playoffs. So it's kind of like, how can you keep that level of intensity up? In this game, unfortunately, it took being down 3 scores for them to kind of like kick that adrenaline back in, seemingly. But when they are firing and they are on it, they are amazing. And when they're not, it's pathetic. So as we continue to move along, we're going to see, and I want to get into this with you after the break here, what team are we going to see this week on Saturday against the Detroit Lions? That and more after the break. Welcome back into RBLR Sports. Now let's get into it. We have 2 weeks left in this NFL season, and this week the Buccaneers are traveling to Detroit to play the Lions. And it comes down to this. If the Buccaneers win, they are in the playoffs, and they have clinched a spot for the first time since 2007 season. And I figured let's what I like to do here is let's go into the numbers a little bit here. The Bucs are 9-5 now that they have won their last two games. They have won actually 3 of the last 5 games, and this year they have been really, really good on the road. They have 5 wins. 5 out of their 9 wins are on the road this year. The Lions, conversely, are a mirrored 5-9, and they only have 1 home win this entire year. The Lions have lost 4 out of the last 5 games, and check this out, they are giving up an average of 33.5 points per game. That last 5 games were a loss to the Tennessee Titans, which is a really good team. They lost to Green Bay, which is a really good team. They did beat the Chicago Bears, who, of course, beat us famously a couple months ago. They scraped out a 4-point victory, 34-30 against Chicago. The week before that, they lost to the Houston Texans, which have been up and down, and they were shut out completely a month ago by the Carolina Panthers. So coming into this, the Buccaneers are a 10-point favorite by Vegas. Vegas has said that the Lions should lose by way more than 1 score. And I would say that Musab, on an average week, I think if the Lions were even at full strength, I think we would be pretty confident about the Bucs' chances. But this will not be an average week for them. They are facing some extra adversity. Musab, do you think that this disruptions, all of these coaching changes that they have to make on the fly, and some of the other injuries that they're going through, can this disruption mean that Detroit's more locked in and looking to kind of overcome a lot of these obstacles, like they have nothing to lose almost?
I guess, yeah. I mean, yeah. Now that they're eliminated from that, playoff contention. And I think being led by their quarterback Matt Stafford, he's not going to let his team quit on the season. But then again, I don't really see anything special with the Lions, especially their last game, a 46-25 loss at Tennessee, dropped them to 5-9. And yes, Stafford did gut out a solid effort, but that defense of theirs just, was a mess because they surrendered over 400 yards and 6 touchdowns. All right. And yes, Detroit did do pretty solid on the offense in their last game, but their defense's woes and those 3 turnovers did help, produce that loss. Now, I'm not going to say that, Tennessee Titans are also similar. I think we are 2 different teams, not for the better or for the worse. We just play differently. But I'm not really, I'm not too worried, and especially with these injuries that are happening with the Lions going on right now, and then also even their coach right now, their interim coach, Darrell Bevel, who's also out. These things really do affect you. Now imagine you're in Stafford's shoes. You're really trying hard to at least try to you're trying to finish off the season as best as you can. Yes, you're not going to go to the playoffs, and yes, you're just kind of just got pummeled by the Tennessee Titans. But if you're Matt Stafford or anyone else on the team who's not injured, you're looking at players who are like Galladay, who's injured. You're looking at some other players who are also injured as well. And even Stafford himself has a little finger injury and a rib injury right now, who's questionable. But these things are kind of getting in your head, and it's saying, oh well, we don't have all the weapons that we would like to have, especially going against a good team, the Buccaneers. So it's gonna be like, all right, well, we're still gonna give it our best. Um, Now the only thing I'm thinking of is, if they can put up a fight with us, that's just gonna motivate them more to say, hey, even with these speed bumps that we've had with the coaches and with these player injuries, we're still doing a great job. And hey, yes, we can't make it to the playoffs, but we can still make a statement by winning the Buccaneers. But then on the other hand, or overall, I think it will be a high scoring affair for the Bucs and maybe the Lions, but probably not. Um, you know, as we talked before, Bucs had that massive second half comeback as they've had in the past. But then, looking at numbers, Lions have allowed a league high of about 31 points per game, but also have an offense capable of putting up big numbers. But that is also just depends on who they're playing. Um, and it's going to be an interesting battle between Stafford and Brady. Brady, who's now top five with pass in the top five passing yards this season, and then Stafford, who ranks ninth. So it's going to be interesting game, but I think we got some tough guys. Fortunately we don't have that many as injured. We don't have many injuries as the Lions do. So, to me, what I'm feeling is I think we're really gonna be coming out strong. The Lions secondary is to be nicely is quite disappointing. Something that certainly does not bode well for the weapons. Well, certainly does work well for the weapons on this Tampa Bay offense. And with these injuries and everything else, and as they have in the past, with their past games, I think they're going to be in shambles. They got them, the coaching deficiencies also, which are leading to this game. So I think they're going to be in shambles, and I think the offensive output that the Bucs have had, especially with Brady connecting to Evans, Godwin, Antonio Brown, Gronkowski, has been real nice. So and then also, I mean, I think mentally for Leonard Fournette, the fact that hey, Jones is gonna be out this game, most likely or probably, he's gonna have to step up to the plate again and make sure he gives it all, because this is a very crucial game. We need to make sure that as much as our passing game can be real nice, we're gonna have to make sure that run game goes real well. And I'm also I think the big thing to look out for, I'm hoping, I should have mentioned this before with the Falcons, or I try to mention it as much as I can, is just the importance of the first downs and the third downs of the Bucs. In the past, the Bucs have been, compared to other teams, been really leaning more towards the run game with the first downs. They have been changing it up a little bit now, with kind of going a little more passing. But the third down conversions, the ones that are the most crucial, haven't been the best, especially last game going against the Falcons. It was a little different in the second half, but first half, those third down conversions were a mess. So that's something to look out for. If we don't really mess up on those and, we try to make the most out of them, everything should be, falling into place. And, as I said before, it's, you just need 2.5 yards per down to, get to the, first down mark. and obviously, there's going to be incompletion. There's sometimes, you're not going to get those 2.5 yards. But when you need, if you're kind of scraping, yards slowly and slowly, then it really comes down to what Tom Brady and Leftwich think, and even Arians, what they think is best to keep running down the field. I think the most important part with these slow starts is that they're exhausting our defense. These slow starts are basically showing us that, hey, we're not making anything happen. We're going 3 and out. Our defense is continuously kind of heading back into onto the field, as soon as possible, or when really the Bucs have to turn it over when it's time to punt. It's exhausting our defense as it has been in the past, and I think that is one contributing factor to our slow starts. Is that first quarter is not going well for us. It's really exhausting us, especially those secondaries. I mean, you just picture it's, imagine, whether it be any team that you got to make sure that you cover your man or you're covering your zone. You're putting a lot of energy out there, tackling guys, chasing after them, and stuff like that. And you go sit down on the bench, and a few minutes later, bam, you're already back on the field because the offense had to punt the ball, and you're like, oh great, all right, well now I got to go back at this again. And with the Falcons, they had, other than with Julio Jones being out, they still had some nice weapons out there, Gage and Calvin Ridley. So that's, for those secondaries, they got to keep an eye on those guys at all times. It's not like something we can kind of sag off on a little bit. So for that reason, I mean, now when it comes to this Lions offense, especially these wide receivers, Golladay being out, it may be a little different. Not that I'm saying we should sag off, but I think the pressure is going to be a little different. I think it's going to be a little less because, I mean, to me, Golladay he's a real good guy, but with him being injured, it's kind of giving us a little like, all right, making us feel a little better. So I think because of that, I think when you have some key weapon like Golladay out, that's going to lead to Stafford keeping his options open. But with him keeping his options open, you're going to be looking at, Stafford's going to be looking at a bunch of other guys. And, within that time, if our Bucs defense keeps pressuring them, keeps knocking at that O-line and Stafford, it's going to get to his head. First of all, Galladay's out. There's an injured. We got some injuries on the offensive line with the Lions, and a rookie running back, DeAndre Swift, who is still trying to work out his defined role in his offense. So this, to me, the way I see it, really, because I do want to hear what you got to say as well, Eureka. To kind of summarize my points is, all in all, is the first down and third downs. They need to be kind of evaluated, especially those third downs. Our offensive play calling needs to be a little more smarter. I do like the play action, passes and kind of play calls. But we got to be sharp. We just gotta give it all our best. We gotta make it sound like this is like we're going against the Chiefs, the Rams, and this is the Super Bowl. Because perhaps that may be the only way we're gonna have a strong start. And then also, just to summarize it, it's just that with what I just said with DeAndre Swift kind of trying to find out his defined role is, this is kind of going to be like the Lions are starting on a clean slate with a lot of changes being these injuries and also the coaching change as well. So it's going to be like a fresh start, but that fresh start is kind of going to make the whole Lions team think, all right, well, what are we supposed to do? What's going to work out best for us? we don't know. We're gonna find out when we go against the Bucs.
Yeah, so one thing that I've been thinking about is kind of this recipe that's been going on in the first half of games, and so most of it is kind of psychological, where I'm thinking something along the lines of this, okay, which is that these teams know that there's a talent deficiency when they play against the Buccaneers, who are, up to this point, have shown they're a good team, not necessarily a great team for 60 complete minutes, but there has been this little window of opportunity that teams have in the beginning that I think is exacerbated by kind of like in the beginning of the game. They're going as hard as they can. You know, they're really just firing everything they've got, and it's kind of like the Muhammad Ali rope-a-dope defense, right? Where you just kind of you let them tire themselves out in that first half because they're throwing their whole game plan at you because they have to. They have to use misdirection. They have to do something like that they haven't shown you on film before, or at least they're trying to pick apart a piece that Tampa's been kind of vulnerable to in the past. And so all that stuff kind of works in the first half. But then that's when, whether it's just being tired and just not being able to keep that pace up for 4 quarters, coupled with it's kind of like, you get punched in the mouth a couple times and you go, oh, that's as hard as you hit? Okay. Now you hit them back, and kind of once you've taken their best blows and you're not completely out of it, now you can come back. I think there's a little bit of that going on. So I kind of expect that to happen in this game as well, because I think that, I think Arians is like salivating at the thought that they could literally get 150 yards out of Leonard Fournette this game. One play calling change that I did note from last game is they didn't run the ball every first down. It took 15 weeks to get here, but the play calling was way more. Now, in this particular game against the Falcons, they passed more, but it was that threat. They utilized the play action as a threat because teams think that the Bucs are going to run on first down. Well, buddy, get ready. Leonard Fournette, I think, is going to have a lot of touches. I think that they're going to shove the ball down the throats of the Lions until they can stop it. And then once... one of two things is either going to happen. I guess one of three things is either going to happen. First, if the running game is just completely successful, they're just going to keep going. And this might be one of those where maybe 21 points gets the win, but you ended up just having these long 10-yard or 10-play, 80-yard drives the whole game that just kind of keep the defense off the field, let them get that rest that you were talking about. Basically just run up the rushing yards, kill the clock, own the time of possession, and then you only have to put 21 to 24 points, which is about what they've averaged this year on the board. And as long as the defense is just about as good as they've been all year, and you're not letting Matthew Stafford with his limited plays when he's on the field going off like he's Patrick Mahomes, then you're pretty much just going to run the clock out and keep it low scoring, and you're going to take it. Now, if you get that, the second thing was if you get that running game going really well, now the passing game just opens up, and I think you saw this with the Packers, is that even though they didn't have a 100-yard rusher, it was that threat that just let Aaron Rodgers go off against this team, and so you got a lot of Lions, or no, well, I guess I'm playing with a pun here, but you got Antonio Brown, you've got Gronkowski, you've got Godwin, you've got Evans. If they're all healthy and they're all on the field at the same time, if they're even thinking that Leonard Fournette is going to be able to get more than 3 or 4 yards a carry, that's going to stretch that field out, and there's going to be open holes, and now you're going to see another possibly 4 to 5 touchdown game out of Tom Brady. And the third thing that could happen is that they just stuff the run, and there's nothing that the Bucs can just do about it, and it looks like the first half against the Falcons. that I don't think is that's the least likely option, I think, of all of them. But I think Fournette's going to get the rock a lot. They're going to give him the ball a lot. And from there, it really just depends on what success they get out of that. But I think that's a cure to me for these slow starts, is that they've tried to get that ball going. This is a game I think that it's absolutely completely possible. I mean, the Lions are giving up on average over 135 yards on the ground, and especially in the last few weeks, some teams have been able to get more than 100 yards on the ground. So with that said, I mean, the guys I'm looking for on Detroit, I don't want to say they're a complete pushover. It is very unlikely that the Lions can win this game, but they've got some young studs. I mean, Tampa has been kind of on the wrong side of some of these screenplays and running backs out of the backfield and quarterbacks kind of extending plays and being able to kind of, once you get past those first initial reads, once it breaks down and becomes kind of schoolyard ball, they've given up a lot of third down conversions off of these little these weird misdirection plays. So I think that a young guy like DeAndre Swift could actually rack up some yards here. Because they utilize him out of the backfield. They like to get him the ball a lot. He's a good change of pace back for them, he's a good threat out of the backfield. He did score a couple times last week against the Titans, and I think it's an actual threat that they have to worry about. With their leading wide receiver going down, does a guy like Hunter Bryant step up? I mean, another rookie, but it's another guy that came up big a couple times last week and could possibly break out against this secondary, which is a question mark. Another guy I would say is like on the defense, if they're going to create any pressure, well, I think we kind of know what happens is if you get into Brady's face, and you eat his lunch, man, he's shown this year that he can be thrown off his rhythm. He can get pushed into a way where he's overthrowing these targets. And when Brady is on, this machine is running at full capacity. When he's off or he's getting hit and he's getting sacked, well, that's pulling the keys out of that ignition, man. And a guy like Romeo Okwara, this can be a guy who is a disruptor on that front seven, and I think that there's some possibility that he can create some havoc on the offensive line. But all in all, I think that just as a team, you have mismatches across the board. The one thing is that we still have to question how are they going to come out. And this game, I think, anything less than a 10-point victory is a real soul-searching performance when it's all said and done. Musab, we haven't gotten into your bold predictions and or your score for this game. So what do you have for us this week, my friend?
All right. Well, when it comes to the bold predictions, my first one is going to be that Brady throws for over 400 yards and 3 touchdowns. As I mentioned before, I think, and there's some of his, there's some ex-teammates of Brady's who are on the Lions as well. So I don't know, that kind of gives the vibe to me that Brady's going to have some familiarity going on, going into Saturday. And then, as mentioned before, that line secondary is not something that looks good to me at all. And, they're, as I mentioned before, I think, I don't know, I just think, overall their whole defense is kind of going to be in shambles. And their whole team might just be kind of a little mess. I think Stafford's going to do his best to hold the team together, but we'll see what happens, but I don't think that's going to happen, though. My second one is, I think Evans, Godwin, and I think Evans, Godwin, and Fournette are going to combine for, ideally, what I want is for 300 yards, but I'll say maybe, I'll say like 275. I'll say 275 total. Evans, Godwin, and Fournette, 275 total. But I think them three are going to combine for 3 touchdowns. Evans and Godwin have just been absolutely on fire. Even Fournette, he did real well last game. And now looking when it comes to, who's going to be covering these guys, according to Mike Ford and Dale Roberts, who are listed as non-participants, and, Detroit's, little practice injury report. And then, their rookie Jeffrey Okudah and Desmond Trufant are already on the injury reserve, which is just going to leave Christian Jones and Jalen Reeves-Maybin as their top corners of the week. So none of those healthy names strike any sort of fear or even confidence to me, or even confidence for Detroit to stop the pass. Meaning that, to me, I think Brady and his top weapons are going to be able to hopefully have a field day and get it right before their potential postseason berth. And then my third one is, as mentioned before, Fournette. He's going to be on fire. He's going to continue to He's going to continue to have that streak of scoring. But I think he might have some opportunities to get some some small passes that might get him some yards as well. I don't think he's going to be extremely efficient on the ground, but I think he's going to do a great job on the ground. But I think he might get some catches as well. What need to be to get those yards. I mean, he's got a big body, so the way I see it is, for those opportunities that we just need a few yards. You might kind of run around, maybe do a little, do a little slant, maybe a little slant run or something like that. Get the pass, and just kind of fight through some Detroit Lion defensemen to get those yards. So I think he's going to do a great job. And as mentioned before, Evans, Godwin, and Fournette are going to combine for 275. But I will say this: if the Bucs don't start slow, I'm going to say 300. If the Bucs do start slow, I'm going to say 275. But if they start hot, meaning they score at least twice, and they contain the Detroit Lions offense, then I'm going to say 300. And then my last one is, because of this whole kind of mess that's going on with the Lions and the fact that, to me, they just seem lost. And I think Stafford's going to do his best, but with all these injuries going on and stuff like that, I'm going to say Tampa is going to sack him. They're going to sack Stafford 4 times. They're going to sack him 4 times. On the defensive side of the ball for Tampa, the Bucs are going to be going against an injury-riddled Stafford. No Kenny Golladay, injured offensive line, and for those reasons, all those elements combined are going to be painting a very nice picture for the Bucs, as their defensive front 7 should be able to really have a nice field day, really. Their defensive line, Sue, McClendon, Devin White, who's been a beast, Levante David, who's been doing absolutely amazing as well. Even Shaq Barrett, I think, is going to step up. They all got nice matchups to look forward to this upcoming games. Even if the Lions can walk out on their many starters, I think the added element of this team that has been a struggling unit in years past is their defensive secondary. Unfortunately, Carlton Davis right now, looking at the reports, he's not going to be coming in. But, we got Winfield, Murphy Bunting, Jamel Dean. We got some good guys who are going to be able to hold down the opposing receivers, especially those who are not Kenny Golladay. So, those are my 4 hot takes. just to summarize it all, I just think if the Bucs do have a slow start, I think they're going to still have a really nice performance. I think they're going to have a phenomenal performance, or I'm going to say a great performance on defense. Offensive wise, if they start slow, I think they're gonna get real hot immediately. Ideally, worst comes to worst, second quarter they're going to start getting hot. But if they do start off hot right off the bat, which I think is a possibility, especially seeing what the circumstances are for the Lions, I think it's gonna be a field day for them. It's gonna be real nice. And that being said, my prediction for the kind of score prediction is here we go. Yeah, drum roll please. I'm gonna here we go. So my prediction is Bucs are gonna go 30 to 13. I'm gonna say 30 to 13, and that's about it. What about you?
I got him. So I do think this is going to be a high scoring game, for a couple reasons. One, there's just that little bit of, look, every player on the Lions wants to play hard. No one wants to put bad tape out. So yeah, they've got a bunch of injuries, and yes, their wide receivers coach is going to be their interim coach, and their quarterbacks coach is calling the plays, and their defensive, I think it's it's the defensive backs coach is or their here it is right here, head coach assistant / research and analysis guy is going to be calling plays on defense. Okay, with all that said, I do think that they've been averaging scoring at least 3 touchdowns a game. I don't think that that's going to change much. I do think that looking at it in a positive way for the Lions, I think you're going to see like a bounce back game from tight end TJ Hawkinson. He's a Pro Bowler, and he only had 50 yards last week. I think that will change. I think you've seen some tight ends like Travis Kelce and things like that have gone and done good things against the Buccaneers coverage linebackers and moving safeties and having to kind of play against a really good tight end. It does disrupt our secondary, and that's a big question mark for us, right? So I think that you're going to see a really strong performance from Stafford and the Lions, at least being able to score more than a couple touchdowns. I also think they got strong special teams play too. They have a Pro Bowl punter, Jack Fox, and let's not underestimate the ability of, if you can pin Brady and the Bucs, within starting, if they're starting on the 12-yard line every time, it's going to take a really good offensive performance to score 5 touchdowns or whatnot, right? So with all that said, I think it will be a high-scoring affair. I am definitely taking the over in this game, and I am saying that the Buccaneers are going to win 35-23. I think that's still a decisive win to me, especially if it turns out that some of those scores are in garbage time, and where the Buccaneers have just been, like, if they're up 21-0 at halftime and they're pretty much just kind of running the ball and not doing much in the second half in terms of scoring wise, I could see them having I could see the Lions having a few drives that put points on the board, but in reality, it's kind of inconsequential. I think that the Lions are going to come out firing in the first quarter, and I think that if the Bucs show up, if they keep hitting the snooze button for the first couple drives, you might see the Lions actually go up by 7 to 10 points. And then finally it's like, oh, wait, we're playing the Lions. Let's flip the switch and not wait till the third quarter. But yeah, I absolutely could see that happen until the Buccaneers show me otherwise. I'm pretty much prepared to start slow and then turn on the afterburners. But that's what I got, 35-23. That's pretty similar to mine. I just think, what you're saying with TJ Hawkinson, I think overall, the Lions may make things interesting at first, but Tampa's talent, it will win it out.
I think the Bucs are just going to take care of business in this one, even if they do, put together another slow start. A close game at halftime becomes something where the Bucs kind of run away with an easy win, especially in the second half. So, and with that win, they'll be able to clinch their first playoff berth.
That's what I'm talking about.
Since the 2007 season. So it's something to look forward to. And, when you take all these things into consideration, looking at the Bucs perspective, I mean, Bucs are going to be coming out real strong. Yeah. And we just got to make sure, we balance everything out. Our defense stays sharp. We've had our good games and bad games on defense, but I think this is going to be a good game on defense. Just seeing what the Lions have, and just seeing what situation the Lions are in.
Now, exactly, man. As long as the Bucs can get into the tourney, man. Once you make the tournament, you got a golden ticket, and anything can happen, especially when you've got Mr. Brady sitting there with his jersey on. So now another team that went through their tournament was the Tampa Bay Lightning, and unfortunately, we got some really bad news. I don't want to get too heavy into it because we are going to kind of preview the Lightning here in a week. But when we come back from break, we will finish up the show talking about the Lightning losing one of the best players in the NHL. All that after the break. All right, wrapping up the show this week. We've talked about the Buccaneers. Now, unfortunately, our Tampa Bay Lightning are Stanley Cup champion. I can't stop saying that. It is phenomenal and it's amazing, and I'm so happy about that. I just want hockey to be back. It's cold outside, and I'm like, it's like perfect time. This is like hockey and basketball time and playoff football time, and here we go. But unfortunately, all that optimism is a little bit dampered because the Lightning are losing Nikita Kucherov, forward for the season. I mean, I don't know how I can kind of overstate how much this just sucks. Cooch, I mean, since his debut about 5 years ago, I mean, he has over 200 goals. He has over 300 assists. And looking at the stats, I think only Patrick Kane is the only other player in the league that has done that. I mean, you're looking at a guy with 529 points. That's an average of 100 points a year for the 5 years he's been in the league. I mean, anytime you got a 100-point scorer, that's crazy. The Lightning have been blessed that we've got multiple people that can do that. And, speaking of guys like that, even with Steven Stamkos coming back into the fold after his kind of injuries that he's had last year, this definitely kind of deflates the balloon a little bit. I know I was hoping that we were going to be able to really just kind of reload the shotgun and bring back the almost the exact same team that we had that just was dominating in the bubble for their Stanley Cup run. But unfortunately, that's not what's going to happen. I mean, Kucherov here, he's going under for surgery. He's going to have hip surgery next week. And I think the plan is that he will not be in any part of the shortened 56-game season. But the goal is to bring him back, kind of like Stamkos last year, where you bring him back for the playoffs. And so with the playoffs being, kind of May, end of May, middle of May, something like that, you're looking at a few months to come back from surgery. And then I think just to kind of alleviate some of the pressure on him to come back early, it's just like, hey, man, take this time, get well, get rested, and the Lightning just kind of have this ace in the pocket where it's like, well, we don't need to go to the trade deadline. We don't need to sign another guy or make a move because we're already strapped under the cap right now. And they actually were probably going to have to make some tough decisions with Kucherov on the payroll. But now, silver lining, I guess. Silver lining is that's one less thing they have to worry about for 56 games. So, they kind of already used a little bit of that cushion that with Kucherov not on the books. They've been able to re-sign a few guys that they might have lost in free agency. But all in all, if the Lightning can do well, then they've got this ace in the hole that can come back, and you're going to get a top level scorer available to you for a potential playoff run. So it's I don't doubt that Kucherov. I mean, he's a pretty hardworking guy, and I think that Kuch is definitely going to be rehabbing well, and it might actually be one of those things where he's ready to go by the end of the season, and they just kind of still keep him on the shelf, even though he's itching in practice or something to get back at it. I mean, he's your leading scorer. I mean, he had 30 something goals last year, and in the playoffs he had over 30 points in the playoffs. So it's just one of those things where you're not going into this season with all of your weapons, but the Lightning have been lucky enough that they still have a Braden Point and a Stamkos if he can stay healthy. They've got some guys. They're going to have to reshuffle the lines up a bit, but if he was the only and main source of offense, this would be way more deflating than it is. So it does suck, but I don't think it derails the Lightning completely. I just think that it's one of those things that when you don't have all the cannons on the ship,
right. And I mean, this kind of adding on is based on what I've kind of read in the past about Kucherov is, he doesn't miss games unless really needed be. So, as you mentioned before, I'm hoping he gets a chance, even with this hip injury and then the hip surgery, that he does, get a chance to return in time for the playoffs. But as you were mentioning, they might just take it easy on him and kind of limit him. But on the other hand, it kind of makes me think, and as much as us Lightning fans are gonna miss him, and it's as much as his team is gonna miss him, and the fact that it's not gonna be easy, this may just give a chance for someone else to just step up to the plate. We already have. I mean, we already got a bunch of nice weapons. But we've re-signed some people. We've also we re-signed Eric Cernak. We brought back Jan Rutta, Matthew Joseph, Alex Volkov, Cirelli. I'm just on. I think it's one thing if one of those guys was injured, but the fact that Kucherov is injured, I think this is kind of not the hardest blow, but it is a blow to the stomach or something like that. That hey, we got one of our good guys is down. He's out for the season, and the fact that your team is a Stanley Cup champion and y'all are going to be defending that cup this season. You want to make sure that you give it all. You play smart, but also that we're gonna need someone or at least a few people to step up and take care of that. Whether that means a few players, step up, or maybe one or two players kind of take over that role that Kucherov had. Personally, I mean, it's not that I'm happy that he's out or something like that, but it's always nice seeing a player who didn't get much recognition before, or maybe they did, but they just weren't a star as much as Kucherov was, or someone like Kucherov or Vasilevsky or Hedman, to get that, to kind of get a little bit of stardom or maybe a little bit of maybe importance or more importance, maybe a little more fame or something, more popularity, I guess is what the word I'm trying to say is, based on their performance. It's as everything you've said, Eureka, is I can absolutely agree with you, and it is gonna be tough. But I think us Lightning fans need to stay optimistic, and being the team that we have, it's one thing if this was Kucherov and you got Kucherov and Hedman and Vasilevsky playing for a team like, I don't know, the Florida Panthers, and they're like, oh, okay, well, wow, we're really missing like a key part of this team now, because, and I mean, then again, I don't know the other guys on, the Panthers or something like that, but, when you're the Stanley Cup champion, that doesn't mean that, you only got a few guys that are good. I mean, yeah, you do have a few guys that are, that are the main stars or the leaders of the team, but that also means that you got some real good role players. You got some real good players that when they do have their time on the ice, they do a good job, or they do a great job. When it comes to scoring or even defense wise. So I just think that to me the way I see it is, Lightning, they're gonna start out strong, just being the champs they are. But they might play around a little bit with their lineup and get a better idea of, okay, well, hey, Kucherov's out, so who's going to be the new Kucherov? Who's going to be the Kucherov 2.0? No, we're not expecting, to play. We're not expecting whoever is stepping up to be exactly like Kucherov, but we need another supporting role. From the top of my head, to any of our, just because the idea of the Tampa Bay Raptors came to my head, or just I'm trying to think of I'm trying to think of really any player, but the first thing that came to my head, Eureka, was the Toronto/Tampa Bay Raptors. Now, when Kawhi left, Eureka, yes, they got Siakam, Anunoby, and Lowry, but someone else, there was another guy who definitely stepped up from the season that Kawhi was on their team, which was Fred VanVleet. So I know we're talking hockey, to my hockey.
I get your point.
And to my hockey fans, you may or may not know, but Fred VanVleet was a solid player, a role player. Had a beautiful story of where he came from to where he is now. But the fact that the fact that Kawhi is gone, that yes, Lowry and Siakam, their other two good players, yeah, they can take a little more control now that Kawhi is gone, but they're going to need more supporting. They're going to need another supporting role or player. So for that reason, someone's gonna have to step up, and that's just the way I see it. I just think that there's gonna be one or two players that you're gonna see on their stats, their season stats or even game stats, that they know what they need to do. This is a championship team, so, and I think any of those players would hate for someone like Kucherov, they would hate for someone like Kucherov's injury to really affect this team. To be honest, I don't think it's going to affect them a lot. I think it will affect them, definitely. But I don't think it's going to be like a huge, massive blow, as I mentioned before, just because we have a bunch of other good players. It's
kind of like, I'll get into kind of what I think will end up happening, but like, I kind of was saying it before, where if this were any other team, I think losing a player like Kucherov is just like, oh, now we're up a creek, man, without a paddle. But that it just goes, an embarrassment of riches is really what the Lightning have been able to build. But what I think will happen is, I've seen a lot talked about. One, having Stamkos come back kind of deadens the blow a lot. But you're assuming that, or we in that reality, we are assuming that that Stammer's going to come back and he's going to be healthy. But it wasn't too long ago that Stamkos was the guy hurt and Kucherov was the guy that stepped up to fill his void. But one name that's been talked about that I'm really looking forward to, and this is would be kind of a redemption story for a guy who he got the big contract, and it's kind of the albatross. It's one of the reasons that the Lightning are in such bad cap shape. But a guy like Tyler Johnson is a guy who kind of found himself on the outs here in Tampa. He kind of just was relegated to the back end of the lineup. He was at one point, one of the top line forwards for us. And, this season they tried to offload him. They tried to trade his contract away to kind of free up monetary space, man. And nobody wanted to trade for this gigantic contract. And so they even cut him, or at least they put him on waivers, and they put him on waivers, and nobody wanted to pick him up. Well, that's one less question that the GM has to answer, is that it's kind of awkward that you got this guy sitting in the corner of the locker room that doesn't really have a spot on the team, and there's no one else that wants to take him. And I mean that's just it. I think everyone knows that's a really difficult situation to be in. Now he's going to have a sweater, he's going to have a stick, and I think he's going to have a spot in the top six, or at least he'll be in the rotation to be on one of the top couple lines, at least. And I think if Johnson can stay healthy and Johnson can get sort of a little bit of that flicker of the flame that we've seen a few years ago. It could be a good story, could be a good redemption story, and something where maybe if TJ can, maybe it's kind of a scratch my back, I scratch your back. We're going to put him on the ice, and if the right trade opportunity comes, to be honest with you, I don't remember if Tyler Johnson has a no trade clause or something similar to that effect, and that was the reason he wasn't able to be traded. But maybe he gets out there, he gets a hard start, and another team that really needs him and really wants him, that he'll be comfortable with, comes along, and then everyone kind of wins. We get a guy that is productive, and he gets to play with a team either here or somewhere else that values his contributions. So, I'm definitely not completely deflated about a team that's returning the majority of the players that have their names etched on the Stanley Cup. I'm definitely very high on the Lightning, but losing Kucherov sucks. But he'll be back, and hopefully he'll be back and better than ever. And in the meantime, I think the Lightning can hold on. So that's all I had for that. We are going to get more and more into Lightning as the NHL season is right around the corner in January.
On. No.
We are still in the playoff push for the Buccaneers. They just have to win or tie this game, and they're in, man.
Tie this game, yeah.
It could be a tie. What about a tie? What about a good old-fashioned tie?
If they tie this game,
with the Lions, man, just look, they don't even have their coach, man. So let's just tie. Let's give them a good tie.
Let's give them a good time and a good tie. Oh man, listen, man. I'll take the tie if that still gives us the playoff berth, but no, I want that win, man. I said what? I said,
oh, you're no fun. This is the giving spirit. It's Christmas. Come on, man.
No, man.
Give them the gift. The gift of a
Detroit
tie.
Lions are definitely a team. I'll say this: Matt Patricia is definitely the kind of guy who's on Santa's naughty list.
Oh no! Yeah, that's why he's not on the sidelines. He will not be on the sidelines. Yeah. Maybe he. Yeah. But with all that said, man, that's all that we've got for you this week. We appreciate your time in this time of the the holidays and kind of thinking and gift giving and just kind of reconnecting with friends and family. I'm very, very, very appreciative of you taking your time to connect with us here. If you want to do something to help us, please follow us on all forms of social media. We are at RBLR Sports. Please remember, you can like and subscribe whatever format you're listening to us right now. If you're on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or Stitcher or YouTube or Google Podcasts, any place you're listening to Musab and myself and our very, very nice dulcet tones, you can help us out just by giving us a couple clicks that like and subscribe to us so that you get updated as soon as we put out the new content. Musab, anything for us as we get ready to deck the halls here on Christmas Day?
Well, it's always a pleasure, Eureka, and to our fans and to our listeners, we appreciate you as well. We wish you a happy holidays, and to those celebrating Christmas, we wish you a Merry Christmas. Regardless of how this year has been with this pandemic, we hope that you can still find some time to enjoy this wonderful season with your family and friends.
Yeah, man, there's only one more week after this of 2020. We get to throw away the calendar. We get to break out a new one. And the playoffs, man, the playoffs are right around the corner for football. We're going to have, we've got baseball in a couple months. This is all coming together nicely for your Tampa Bay sports teams. So until next week, take it easy, guys. Thank you very much. We will see you later.
Thank you for tuning into this presentation by RBLR Sports. On your way out of the stadium, please remember to like and subscribe.